It is a universal characteristic of our experience as people to be looking forward to something. Right? Life, when it's good, is aspirational. I'm looking forward to anything from the next meal to what I'm doing tonight to what I'm doing this weekend to the upcoming vacation to possibilities of, for example, promotion at work, to my children doing well, to meeting that special somebody, to one day being successful in some kind of perhaps more undefined at present way, to perhaps a more far-fetched, or should we say, speculative possibilities, such as winning the lottery or becoming very famous, even if it's not certain. Things like this. We see again that this is universal, starting from the lowest ages, of course, and usually going on until the oldest ages. We can ask, however, if there is by any chance an alternative to this kind of mode of life. Something about it seems right, the aspirational part, looking forward to something. And something about it at the same time seems off, seems wrong. And what could that be? Well, we see that part and parcel of such aspiration is perhaps deflation upon having attained to that which we were aspiring for. So, for example, I really looked forward to this weekend, or from that past point of view to the upcoming weekend. And yet, once it passed, and it's nice to have that memory. And memories can be helpful as it concerns pride, for example. Oh, you don't know what I did last weekend. It was amazing. As it concerns kind of fond recollections, but it's not that helpful, generally speaking, right? Especially something that gains its value from its immediacy. For example, pleasure right now, right? Fun right now. When the fun is gone and the pleasure is gone, just a memory, not very helpful. So we can notice that trend, right? Going all the way from such relatively minor things, like I looked forward to this weekend and then it passed, to maybe I was really hoping for the promotion and I thought that it would make me happy, but it didn't. Now it's just the status quo. I was really hoping to move somewhere else, and now I did, and now it's just home, and it doesn't make me happy anymore. I was really looking forward to the new vehicle. I was really looking forward to the vacation. I was really looking forward to even a new relationship, right? And all these things, they kind of leave me looking for more. Sometimes high and dry, sometimes kind of just this is the new status quo, but all the same. So most of us, we may at times attend to this as far as we do, but we kind of shrug our shoulders and say, what can we do? This is life, and let me just keep the cycle going. Let me just go for the next thing. Maybe it'll work. And if not, well, whatever. What can I do? So again, something about it seems right, the aspirational part. Something about it seems wrong, that it never satisfies us. So might we perhaps recalibrate this conception to where it's all good, to where it's not part good and part bad, but to where it's all good? Perhaps we could, and perhaps that would involve changing the object of such aspiration. What would that change entail? It would entail aspiring for different experiences, different things, different people, a different external situation in life. Right? I'm earning more money, or I'm the big boss, something like this. Two, being different oneself, to myself being different. Why is that perhaps a better option than the aforementioned one? Well, we say that in response to the initial quandary, which is that we look forward to things, but they don't satisfy us. Some suggest that we need to simply be content with how things are and be happy now, right? Don't forgo your happiness. Don't save it for retirement. Just be happy now. And yet we say at the same time that we cannot be quote unquote happy now. If I just leave myself be the way that I am, I won't be happy. Let's be perfectly honest. Right? If I'm left in solitary confinement right now without my stuff, say my phone on which I use to look at videos and talk to people, my job, my activities, my hobbies, I'm not going to just be happy. Right? Just forget about all that. Forget about the next vacation and just be happy. No, I won't be happy. I'm just going to be miserable and confused and scared, and depending on the situation, right? If I'm left all alone, something like this. or just very bored, and that's no good either. So what then is that advice missing? Well, it's missing that very salient point of who it is that we are. In order to be happy, quote unquote, just because, or just as myself, I have to be the sort of self that is able to thus be happy. A child cannot be happy just being him or herself. A child needs external stimulations. I need to go play, I need to go nap, I need to go eat, something like this. If I am still a child, maturationally, as it concerns my maturity, even if I have an adult body, I also certainly cannot be happy just being myself. I certainly need those externalities, the vacation to look forward to, the weekend to look forward to, and so forth, because my being is, so to say, externalized. I live outward in the superficial surface of things. So the idea then would be that in order to gain satisfaction from being, from myself, in order to be able to be happy, just existing, I need to drastically change myself. It's not enough to just let things go or just kind of be content or appreciate the present moment or something like this. I need to go from being a critter, the life of which again is externalized, to being a human being that has an inner life, a rich, enriched inner life. And then I can really truly be happy in a way that is not predicated on the next stimulation or titillation. Again, what am I doing tonight, this and that. So, therefore, the reasonable hope here seems to be that I can change myself and be that kind of person. That seems to be the correct object of my aspiration. It's not, oh, I'm looking forward to that vacation next year and I'm looking forward to retirement in 10 years, 50 years, whatever it might be. It is, I am looking forward to being different than I am now. I am looking forward to growing up. I'm looking forward to being mature. I'm looking forward to being more human. That's the idea. Right? Now, it needs to be said that we may construe such advice as high hopes, a little bit too high for us. And if somebody, for example, were to tell us that your happiness lies with being an elite athlete, aside from the few individuals who believe themselves able to become elite athletes, most of us would say, okay, well, there's no hope for me. I can never become an elite athlete. It requires special talent and time and youth, perhaps, relatively speaking, right? And all kinds of things which I don't have. It's never going to happen, so I'm not going to even try. So why would that, or should we say, transferring that to the present question, if we construe the goal of changing ourselves and of really being great, to where we can just be happy from being ourselves, as akin to being an elite athlete, we may also think it to be impossible. How can I ever change myself? I say, even if I don't acknowledge it, even if it's just a dim, vague, unconscious awareness, I'm probably cognizant of the fact that I am quite inadequate, that I am a ball of conflicts and neuroses and psychological impediments, and that really any progression of my personality is improbable. I'm kind of stuck being me, stuck being this insufficient critter, and therefore the only life that I can aspire to, or the only things that I can aspire to, are things. Again, I look forward to the next meal, to the next change of something like this. So that is a reasonable objection, but we can use the analogy of sports again to clarify what might be meant, what might be more realistic. It is unrealistic to suppose that most individuals can be elite athletes. That is admittedly for the few. But it is realistic to suppose that most individuals can be at least a little bit more fit and at least a little bit more healthy. I might be 120 years old and virtually immobile, and yet I might still be able to slightly move my feet if I can, and therefore slightly improve the strength of my lower body. Perhaps I can't move my feet, perhaps I can move my hands. Perhaps I can't move at all, but I can get nutrition through an IV tube that is of higher quality and perhaps then improve my situation at least a little bit. As long as I'm alive, there's a very good chance that there's at least something that could be done to better me physically, at least a little bit. So just so here, if the ideal concerning which, or the ideal that we're shooting for, is supreme goodness and greatness of the human variety, such that entails should we say, demands the initial talent and the opportunity and all kinds of educational influences and such, then indeed, it might seem to be improbable, and probably it is improbable, and we probably would be foolish to think, for example, after living a life full of self-centeredness, a life full of vanity, that we can become great in a human sense, especially with time not on our side. That would be silly. What is not silly, however, is supposing that by even a little bit of effort and attention, we cannot better our inner situation at least a little bit. A little bit of honesty, right, concerning something, a little bit of truth in my life, a little bit of self-forgetfulness, a little bit of goodness, doing something good, for example, for someone without thinking what's in it for me, something like that. That in itself can certainly benefit us, at least a little bit. And that is that much better than nothing. It's 100% better than nothing. And we may also find, very many of us, that if we do aspire for being somebody better, not only doing something better or something happening to us, I want to win the lottery, but being somebody better, very many of us surely have latent talent and potentialities, and we could become quite great. Just like people maybe don't get into fitness until they're 40, 50, whatever, and then begin, oh, well, I'm not so bad, right? I can maybe run a marathon in a couple of months. I could be number one at my gym. So all kinds of potentialities are hid beneath the surface that could perhaps sprout and flourish if we would but aspire for better being and not only better, having and whatnot. So that would be the idea. Instead of constantly aspiring for different things and different experiences and different external situations, I want to go travel and I want to be somewhere else and I want to have a different relationship and I want some kind of excitement and this and that. That's all great for what it's worth, but ultimately I want to aspire for better being. I want to be somebody different. I want to be somebody better. I want to grow up. I want to mature. I want to be everything that I can be. I may dimly, vaguely feel that that is unrealistic for me. Again, I'm too spun up inside. I have too many inner issues. I have too many psychological problems. I don't have enough mental health. I don't have enough emotional health. I don't have enough mental dexterity. If I feel that way, it might be because I have in my mind an unreachable ideal. I've heard of the saint or the very great and good person, something like this, and I feel correctly that I can never become that. Especially, again, if time is not on my side. But that need not be the ideal that we're striving for. Somebody's young and talented, great, definitely shoot for that. But if not, young in their own eyes, let's say. But if not, shoot for just being a little bit better. Right? Again, a little bit of honesty, a little bit of self-forgetfulness, a little bit of self-sacrifice, a little bit of telling the truth, speaking the truth, thinking the truth, that kind of thing can go a long ways towards our betterment. And it can add up. And in some time, we can be much better than we now are. Thank you for listening.